17th century Japanese poet Matsuo Bashō referred to the transformative power of nature as Zoka. What is Zoka? Zoka is a Japanese word used to describe the complexity of nature, specifically the transformative power of nature. When we look at the landscape, it may seem static, but it has seen change and is still changing, just as we are changing day to day, year to year. This scene of shorebirds on San Pablo Bay may seem natural enough, but not long ago this landscape was pasture land, occupied not by shorebirds, but cattle. Years ago, people built dikes to create farmland, but recently those dikes have been removed. Nature is gradually returning the land to the bay. Since Basho's time, people have changed the landscape by building structures such as this nuclear power plant on Delaware Bay, a landscape shared by the seagulls in the foreground. If we consider humans as part of, not separate from, nature, then we have become part of the transformative force called Zoka. How do we in turn transform our nature writing to include this idea of Zoka? Basho wrote, "The heavenly skill of Zoka, who can fully capture it in a painting or in a poem?" Basho tried to capture the idea of Zoka in his haiku. Let's see what we can learn from two of his poems. Clear-voiced cuckoo, even you will need the silver wings of a crane to span the islands of Matsushima. I am awestruck to hear a cricket singing underneath the dark cavity of an old helmet. We notice in Basho's haiku a combination of the elements of nature we tend to call beautiful, such as the crane flying, and the undiscovered elements of nature we tend to ignore, such as the cricket hiding under a helmet. The cuckoo is an elusive bird with a haunting cry, but is not a strong flyer. Basho seems to be saying that a beautiful voice is of no help when crossing the 260 islands covered with pine trees that make up Matsushima. The crane's cry is less beautiful, but their wings are strong enough to span the islands. In Basho's cricket hiding under a helmet, we see the intersection of the world of the human and the world of the cricket. This intersection has become more common in our time, especially in a suburban setting. One can't help but notice human presence. We might even go so far as to call suburbia a human landscape. Even when there are no people present, we see everywhere what people have created: sidewalks, streetlights, fountains, cultivated gardens, and freshly mown lawns. Contemporary writing can't help but operate from a new normal where the landscape is dominated by human traces. It's easy to appreciate subjects in nature considered beautiful. Their Zoka, or energy, transforms us by making us happy, or by making us dream about what it would be like to run through the forest like a deer or fly like a crane. One way to transform our writing is by seeking out the overlooked subjects of nature and writing about them. Take this bird called a grackle, perched on a signpost, a bird that at first glance may look like any other bird, but just maybe they have something to say to us. Another way to transform our writing about nature is to use all of our senses. What does the subject look like? What's its shape and color? Does it make a sound? Does it have a smell? What about the other unseen elements of nature, such as air? We feel air through the wind on our skin and have even built objects to translate the movement of air into sound. Here's a poem that invokes the human sense of smell. Fata Morgana in a field of tarweed. You might expect to encounter Fata Morgana, an upside-down ship refracted on the ocean, but not on land, not a ship carrying crude oil overturned among amber waves of grain, but cresting a ridge. That's exactly what I smell. Overtones of automotive repair shop, a familiar scent from my weekday habitat, a pungent scent emanating from hayfield tarweed. A wreck myself in the heat hiking, I watch land shimmer like the ocean's surface. 100 degrees, and near neon flowers cheer me on, exuding their creosote sweat. Basho wrote, "Go to the pine if you want to learn about the pine, or to the bamboo if you want to learn about the bamboo. And in doing so, you must leave your subjective preoccupation with yourself. Otherwise, you impose yourself on the object and do not learn. Your poetry issues of its own accord when you and the object have become one." What does Basho mean? When he says go to the pine, he's asking us to seek out the subject's Zoka, or transformative energy, by entering into a creative space where we can become one with our subject. In summary, to transform our writing about nature in the human landscape, choose a subject overlooked by others. Study your subject to understand it. Use all of your senses to describe your subject. Find your subject's Zoka.